Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here tonight to speak to all of you. Okay. My camera disappeared. Oh, there it is. I'm getting used to going live on my laptop, so I hope everything goes all right tonight. Okay. I am so excited with my life. It's becoming more and more awesome, and it's taken a long time to get here. And what's my prayer to other people, if I give steps in how I've brought peace and love and joy into my thoughts, which is creating my good life, I can help others hopefully do it in a much easier, quicker way. Because I've been studying the law of attraction for like 10 years, and it's amazing. I've read a lot of books. I've listened to a lot of YouTube videos. And at the end of my book, oh, by the way, I finished my book. Um, I've been writing and working on this book for a little over 4 years. It's probably be right at 5 years by the time they actually publish it. But I've turned it into my publisher and editors. And this, I hope you can see this. This is how, oh shoot. Anyway, that's what my book cover will look like. I don't think it came out all that great, but um, so yeah, it's been exciting. But at the end of my book, I list all, gosh, there's probably a page of different authors and podcasts that I've listened to the last 10 years that has really shaped my life in a most awesome way. But this is the first book I read. It's by might help if I get my glasses on. Um, it's Ask and It Is Given, and it's by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And this was the first book I read. A very good friend gave it to me, and it helped me realize how easy it is to ask and to receive from God. But to me, in all these years I've been recovering from PTSD, um, it's been a long time coming. That's what a friend of mine told me recently. But I just wanted to share some of these books that I've read in the last 10 years. And this one is called Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. And this book goes into how our body, mind, and soul, how it all works together. And it's such a, it's a very deep read, but he gives charts where they test your brain activity while you're doing meditations, and when in like when before you do a meditation and then after you do the meditations. And so it really helped me to learn how the meditations are helping me. And Dr. Wayne Dyer, he was my first author that I read, read some of his books. And I remember one time reading, and I think it was wishes fulfilled. I'm not sure. But he said changing your thoughts is easy as doing a flip. You know how when you're kids you love to do somersaults and do flips? He said it's that easy. Mm, I guess it is once you understand, which thank God I have. So yeah, I could see it being that easy now, but it's taken a lot of reading and a lot of cleaning out programming. We are all programmed um, from the time we're born. All our parents, our schools, our society, we're programmed by different rules and do this and that and whatever. But I read this book by Don. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right. He's Mexican. Don McQuarrie Riz. And this is the fifth agreement, but I also have a book about the four agreements. And I'm going to read just the four agreements and what they are. And he goes in depth about each one of these. Um, the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word, what you're saying out of your mouth. Be very cautious what you're speaking out, because the Bible tells us how powerful our words are. And the second one is second agreement is don't take anything personally. If somebody does something to you, it's them. It has nothing to do with you. So don't take it personally. And that's how you better keep all the bull crap out of your head. You know, when people hurt you, don't take it personally. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. I guess pretty much I would have to go into the book. It's a very good book to read, and it's very easy to understand. This book I read by Dr. Joe Dispenza is very deep, and you got to really be paying attention. But this book is really good. But you don't assume what other people are going to do. And the fourth agreement is, let's see where, okay, always do your best. That's pretty much all we can do, is to do our best. And yeah, it's been so amazing. My passion is to help people that have trauma that's embedded into their subconscious, that keeps our thoughts going in the wrong direction in a bad way. Because when you're focusing on all the trauma and the sadness and everything, of course, then you attract that into your life. So it's like my dad took me away from my grandfather. He moved us out of Atlanta away from my grandfather because my grandfather was trying to make my dad do right by me, which he wasn't. My dad was a monster. And that's the best way I know how to describe him. So my granddaddy tried to make him stop, and it didn't work. But so anyway, I never got to see him again. So all that sadness that I accumulated all throughout my life, I attracted the exact same scenario with my grandchildren, because I was just trying to get my daughter to understand how she can have a good life. And it got all twisted and all. So now I don't get to see my grandchildren. But the thing is I don't let myself dwell in that sadness. I have learned to let it go and give it to God. Cause that's the beauty of everything I've learned, is how to let go things that are hurting us and causing us pain through meditations. And it's only by meditations I am here to guarantee you that in order to get everything out of your subconscious that's being programmed into you, especially if you've had all this trauma in your when you were little, that's the only way to get it out. And Joe Dispenza explains that in here. So I have a great relationship with God. It's amazing. But the thing about it is religion makes it complicated, and the Bible, whoever put the Bible together, we all know things were left out. So we ain't really clear on how to do what a lot of the things that they preach about. We don't know how to do it because we are told in church what we need to do, but we are not told how to do it, because all of that was left out. Everything from Jesus, when he was learning and he was being taught from the time he was 13 years old to he was 33, he was being taught the mystical of life, and he learned all of that. But that isn't in the Bible because they kept it out of the Bible. That's the biggest thing, they kept it out of the Bible, and they did that because I think it had maybe a lot to do with in the first century after Jesus was crucified, they the Catholics got involved, and there was a lot of control. There still is so much control in the church, and everything I'm learning in this is the word I'm looking for, metaphysical. That's what I've been learning. And I didn't really understand it until recently, until I checked this book out from my church library, which is awesome, because this is a cool thing, and I'm really learning what we are not taught in church about the Bible. And like we know we're supposed to keep our thoughts clean and keep our thoughts on good things, but they don't tell us why we need to keep our thoughts clean and happy and positive. And there's a way to do that. And I felt like when I have been recovering from the trauma I experienced when I was little, that it's taken so long because we get stuck in all the stuff that's in our head. And like I've said this before, and I want to say it again, I could go to church, and church is awesome. The churches I've gone to have been awesome. I have 4 pastors, great pastors, and I think 3 of them now are friends of mine here on Facebook. But I have had some good pastors. I've not been to a church that I was taught condemnation and 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 how if you do this and that you're going to go to hell. I wasn't. It wasn't like that. But when I would go into church and I would go to prayer for prayer or wherever or in my seat, you know, I got a release of what I was wanting. But the minute I walked out the door, it came back because I didn't learn how to control my thoughts. And it is just as easy as Dr. Wayne Dyer says. It's easy as doing a flip. And so this book tells us how it explains what it means exactly, what, you know, when of how we're programmed to all these supposedly true things, but they ain't true. Like who named a chair? Okay, a chair is called a chair, but people have named these things and they have come up with their own, I think, their own perspectives and all. But so this book I got from my church library also, and I wished I had read this earlier because it's really spoke a lot of truth into me. I took some notes of the first chapter, and I want to just read my notes, and maybe if you know, like what you hear me saying, then you might want to buy the book because it's an awesome book. But the first chapter is about God is love. God is pure love. He's pure love. It's a spirit, and it's pure love. We can call him he, she, Papa, Father, Spirit, universe. You know, whatever we feel is the what we want to name God. But it says in John 14:20, on that day you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. How is that possible if we don't go inside of ourselves and really, through meditations, clear out all the junk that's in there? And Jesus told us in the Bible that that the kingdom of heaven is inside of us. And so the first point was about surrender, which is really cool because I have totally surrendered my life to God. I don't want what anything in my life unless it's his plan for me. And so I take it at face value in the scriptures. All that I have is thine, and I am connected at all times to my God inside of myself. Love, I try to see anger, hatred, and disharmony as invitations to surrender to love. Infinite love is that I can always tap into dispel negativity. And then we have to empty our mind. How do we empty our mind? We empty it through meditations. So this was a message to my ego that I learned in the book. My ego is my flesh. And the Bible teaches us, don't live in the spirit, not in our flesh. And it said, I am going to trust in the same power that moves the galaxies and creates a baby rather than in my own self-indulgent assessments of how I would like to be going right now. I empty my mind, and that leads to forgiveness, generosity, and gratefulness. That is the biggest. That is the biggest thing I've learned on changing our thoughts. Is how when we're grateful, we're reprogramming our mind. Um, so we come into this world with nothing and we leave with nothing, as we all know. In reaping and sowing, if I send out, give me, give me, give me, that's what I'm going to always expecting. Give me, give me, give me. And so, but if my message to God is, what can I give? What can I give? Or how may I serve? That's when I receive that back. And connectedness. A Course in Miracles, it teaches us I can choose peace rather than this problem or whatever is material. Cheerfulness. The more cheerful, happy, and contented and satisfied I am, the more aware that I am of my deep connection to my spirit of God. So we ask ourselves this key question: how do I feel most of the time? If I answer anxious, anguished, hurt, depressed, frustrated, and so on, then I have a spiritual disconnect from God. Thank God that most of the time now I have a happy, joyful, peaceful, and excitedness in life. And then if anxiety and all that tries to creep up, which of course it is, then I know how to deal with it. And my biggest thing is surrendering to God. Um, so our only problem is when we allow ourselves to be separate from God. When we are truly connected to God, we have no problems. When we are truly connected to God, and that's what I'm striving at. The problem of disease, disharmony, discord, fear, anxiety, scarcity, displeasure, disappointments in others, and so on are in our minds, and we can change that. Yet, when we truly connect to God, these all disappear. And that's why I'm so excited. It's because I have learned to connect to my God. And I have that first love with God because he, she, it is the most important thing to me. And our problems are just illusions. I've learned from this book that we are all daydreaming. You know, they say, stop that daydreaming and pay attention. But everything that happens in our life comes from our daydreaming or our dreams at night. And if we go to bed with bad, depressed, sadness, that's the most important time is when we need to get our head clear, is when we go to sleep. Let's see. Because I'm going to read just this, and so you'll understand what I am talking about. Hold on. not sure exactly where it is now, but I'll read this. This is Feeling is the Secret by Neville. I don't know how to pronounce he's been passed away probably since the 70s, and his name is Neville Goddard. But says the world and all within it is man's conditioned consciousness, objectified. Consciousness is the cause as well as the substance of the entire world. So it is to consciousness that we must turn if we would discover the secret of creation. In order to intelligently operate the law of consciousness, it is necessary to understand the relationship between our conscious and our subconscious. And this is a really cool book. Maybe another time I would like to maybe it's only 4 chapters and it's a very small book. I would like to maybe come on here 4 different days and read it, because this book blew my mind. Seriously, it's awesome. The conscious, I always knew that we have a masculine in ourselves, and we have the feminine. All of us do. We have masculine and feminine. But now I know the conscious is the male, and the subconscious is the female. The conscious generates ideas and impresses these ideas on the subconscious. The subconscious receives ideas and gives form and expression to them. By this law, first conceiving an idea and then impressing the idea conceived on the subconscious. All things evolved out of consciousness, and without the sequence, there is not anything made that is made. Most of us are running on our subconscious. The majority of us. I hope you can truly understand this. We're running on our subconscious. Everything that's been programmed, all the words spoken to us, everything we have spoken, it goes into our subconscious, and then that feeling comes into our subconscious, and then we attract that into our lives. So that's how God created the world, and that's how we create our world, is by what we're thinking, which leads to what comes out of our mouths. So it's very, very important to take control of your thoughts. And the real cool thing I know about meditations is religion, and it's not anything against what we've been taught and what everybody has been taught to believe, but meditations, I've had pastors tell me, oh, be careful of doing those meditations. You don't want to invite a dark energy, which is true. But if we're fearful that we would attract something dark into our life through our thoughts, that's how the darkness and evilness comes into our life, is we fear it. And so I've learned to let go of all that fear. And when I do meditations, the most thing I wished that I had been more consistent with my meditations when I started this 10 years ago, because we get so busy with our lives, and we don't want to sit still. But it's in that sitting still is how we come to know God. And so the last year, I would say the last year and a half, the first thing, and I've been told this, but I never followed through with it until a year and a half. The first thing I do when I get up, I go use the bathroom, of course. Then I come back to my bed. I pick out a guided meditation or just meditative music, and I go straight in to my meditation the first thing before I even get out of bed, really, because if we don't start our day right with God, then then it just snowballs all day long. When you start one bad thought, it leads to another one and another one, and it snowballs. But if you start your meditations and you can take control of those thoughts. So first thing I do when I get up is I meditate. The last thing I do when I'm ready to go to sleep, I meditate. I clear my mind because I've learned from this book, and I really would like to share this book in more depth on another video. I didn't realize this, even though I've been taught this mostly by Wayne Dyer. I remember him saying how, when we slumber and go to sleep, that's when our spirits don't go to sleep. We are a spirit. We are not our body. We are not our mind or our thoughts. That is not us. And I loved how this woman wrote a letter to Dr. Dyer. She wrote a poem, and this is so true. I posted it in a post today. It says, "I am the I that is me. You cannot see. You cannot see. You see only the form that you think is me. This form that you see will not always be, but the I that is me lives eternally." I mean, ain't that so awesome? So it's really important. It's the most important time is when you're getting ready to go to sleep, to clear those sad, hurtful, angry thoughts. Clear them out. You can do it. If anybody can do it, I said that backwards. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So yeah, you clear your mind before you go to sleep, and when you go to sleep, your spirit leaves your body. Did you know this? Your spirit leaves your body when you go to sleep, and you're connected. There's a some kind of, I don't know exactly the exact correct name for it, but there's some kind of rope that's attached to your body to your spirit, so your spirit can go on so many different places, and it always comes back to you when it's time for you to wake up. But your spirit, who you really are, you never sleep. It's only your body that sleeps. So your subconscious and your conscious, the male is the conscious, the female is the subconscious. It's like this book explains how it's like a love affair with the two when you go to sleep. And if the consciousness of your thoughts is full of anger and all this, then it feeds the subconscious, and she starts feeling everything that this consciousness with this, which is the male, perpetrates or whatever. That's probably not a good word, but anyway, the female subconscious feels it, and then that is how you create your world, is by feelings. And so if you can have a meditation, and it's possible, if we would only discipline ourselves and do it just as we brush our teeth every night and every morning when we get up, we can go to bed and have good thoughts, and then our spirit does whatever our spirit does while we're asleep, and then when we wake up in a much better way. And that's how I have become so happy. I just wish more of us can get over the the fear that religion projects into us. And it's not the people, it's the spirit, the evil darkness that is injected into what we learn in church. So yeah, I'm so glad for everyone that's watching me. And if you see this video on YouTube, I would really, really appreciate it if you subscribe and like my video. Thank you.